Namaskar friends. After a wait of more than 9.5 months, finally the 8th Pay Commission has been set in motion. Are you one of those central government employees secretly calculating how much your salary might jump when the 8th Pay Commission hits? Or maybe you are a pensioner hoping this one finally makes your monthly coffee budget stretch a bit further. Hold, because this time things are about to get interesting. Let's be honest. Whenever there is a new pay commission, the air gets thick with hope, gossip, and WhatsApp forwards. People start talking about 50% hikes, arrears, and life after DA merger like it's a next blockbuster. But what is actually cooking in Delhi's bureaucratic kitchen? And how big a bite will this new pay packet really be? Let's break it down. No jargon, no government babble, just the facts, straight talk, and a pinch of humor so you don't fall asleep halfway through. The 8th Pay Commission, the Union Cabinet has officially approved the terms of reference. That is, bureaucrats speak for, here is what the Commission will actually do. The 8th Pay Commission will review and revise salaries, allowances and pensions for around 50 lakhs employees and 69 lakhs pensioners, old pensioners. Of course, this UPS also will get changed with this. We will discuss in the next video about that. It is headed by Justice Retd Ranjana Prakash Desai. Yes, the same former Supreme Court judge known for her sharp legal mind. Alongside her are Professor Pulak Ghosh from IIM Bangalore as the part-time member. He is not the full-time member of the Pay Commission. And of course from IAS, Mr. Pankaj Jain, presently Petroleum Secretary, as the Member Secretary of the Commission. Their deadline 18 months from today. So expect the final report by mid-2027 only. But the implementation is likely from January 1, 2026. Sounds neat, right? Until you remember that government timelines have a funny relationship with reality. Still, the announcement has already set off a wave of optimism and some nervousness across ministries. Why do we even need another pay commission? Because inflation doesn't care about your designation. Every 10 years, the government sets up a pay commission to adjust salaries and pensions to match the rising cost of living. Of course, from 4th Pay Commission, it is happening exactly in every 10 years. Prior to up to 1, 2, 3. 3 Pay Commissions, it was not. So it was more than 10 years break. Basically, it is the government's way of saying, fine, you are right. Prices went up again. To keep things bearable in between, government revises dearness allowance every 6 months based on inflation data. But DA alone cannot fix everything. It's like patching a leaky boat with tape. After a decade, the pay structure itself needs a rebuild. The 7th Pay Commission came in 2014 and kicked in from January 1, 2016. It used a fitment factor of 2.57, meaning salaries were multiplied roughly by that number. It was almost some 32% hike or something like that. I will give the detailed calculation separately. This time, expectations are much higher, but they are all wishful thinking. Some employee unions are already murmuring about fitment factor of around 3.68 point, which is highly improbable. If that happens, it's a hefty rise. I don't think it will happen. What the cabinet just approved so far, the cabinet has finalized the terms of reference after consulting all the ministries, all the state governments and staff unions too. The terms of reference is the Commission's rule book. It guides what they will study, analyze and recommend. Here is what is officially on their plate. Economic conditions. How the country's finances are doing and whether we can afford to pay more without breaking the bank. Of course, our economy is now marching to its third biggest world economy. So economic condition may not be a setback as far as this pay commission calculation is concerned. Fiscal prudence. Fancy way of saying don't blow the budget. So normally this is the way they say, no, you have to be prudent enough to spend money and all those things. So this is to tighten the pay commission's thinking, fiscal prudent. Welfare needs, making sure developmental and welfare programs don't suffer just because salaries go up. If development work suffers only because of salaries increase, but then economy is in shatters. It's not the case. And now the pension liabilities. This is a new condition they have added in the terms of reference. Remember, India still runs non-contributory pensions for many retirees. That is a huge bill. That is what they try to say in the terms of reference. So they say the impact of the non-contributory pensions. Of course, from 2004 onwards, those who retire get national pension scheme where government pension liability is already set off by every month's additional salary of some 14%. Now it has been raised to 18.5% under the unified pension scheme scenario. Of course, the unified pension also will have an effect because once salary is revised, so that 50% of that salary should be given as pension under UPS, not under NPS. So UPS, NPS, I have already given a lot of videos. In a small nutshell video I will make very soon, because people should opt for UPS whenever they join government. And those who are already there, September last date and all is gone. I think most of them have already submitted options. Let's see those details in a separate video. Okay. Now the another condition is impact on states. States often adopt the central pay structure, sometimes with small modifications. So the center's decisions affect them too. Then, so they say you compare that also. It's all negative point for huge rise. Comparison with PUC and private sector. Here the promising thing is most of the Navaratna PSUs and public sectors, that is the multinational and higher level public sectors, the salaries are huge except in the starting level. All other cases salaries are very huge. So here this comparison will give leverage for government employees to get or demand more salary. The commission will also check how central employee pay stacks up against others. This is how they are going to compare. And here is the interesting bit. As usual, the Dr. Wallace Aykroyd formula might again be used to determine the minimum wage. Then that should be this is the saving clause where the minimum salary, when you compare with private sector and other things, will be really very attractive as far as central staffs are concerned, because this Dr. Wallace Aykroyd formula gives you all the factors which are essential for a family of 3 units, husband and wife and children. They make like husband 1 unit, wife I think 0.8 and children 0.6 each. So 1.2 unit. Totally it takes to 3 unit. But the employees are demanding to make 5 units, and if that is the case, the increase could be more than 40% of the basic pay. Let us wait and see, because whether the government accepts, pay commission accepts that claim of making or demand of making 5 units of the family. But so far, the minimum wage was fixed based on the 3 unit family only. So 3 and 5, there itself you get more than 50% extra. It may not happen that much, but you are likely to get hike more if 5 units are taken into account. That we'll see when the pay commission starts deliberating with employee unions and others. Okay. And the Dr. Wallace Aykroyd formula is nothing but the old scientific formula which links calorie intake to fair pay. Okay. Now, the problem, the great expectation trap. Every time a new pay commission shows up, expectations skyrocket. You will hear people talk like they are already buying a new car or upgrading their house. But here is the catch. The government has to balance happiness and the economy. India's fiscal deficit, that is a gap between what the government earns and spends, is already a tightrope act. A massive salary hike means billions of more in recurring expenditures. To put it bluntly, every 1% increase in pay for central employees can cost government thousands of crores of rupees annually. Still, the government knows it can't ignore the 1 crore plus people between employees and pensioners, especially with all political reasons and other things, and for industrial calmness. The timeline. What is the next thing that we can expect? Let us see step by step. The commission works will begin now immediately. Now that the terms of reference is approved, the 8th Pay Commission can start collecting data from ministries, departments and financial institutions. Data analysis. They will study inflation, GDP growth, fiscal reports and wage patterns across the sectors. Stakeholders consultation. This means unions, pensioners associations and experts will get their say in the consultation process. Draft recommendations. Of course, the government has itself indicated interim report can also be given. So since the pay commission is delayed, there is a possibility sometime in the year 2025 itself, within 1 year, pay commission can recommend only pay revision in the first report, and then of course all the other allowances can be taken up in the final report. There is a possibility because the way government drafted the terms of reference now gives scope for getting interim report. I don't think government will accept for granting interim relief. Instead of that, they may hint pay commission to come up with pay revision, that is basic pay revision at the first report, that is interim report, followed by final report where all other allowances including house rent allowance etc. can be handled. Okay, final report as the commission is mandated will have to be submitted within 18 months, which is nothing but mid of 2027 only. Okay, the government reviews, modifies wherever required and approves it for a rollout apparently from January 1, 2026. A higher fitment factor could be around 2 and the lower could be around 1.8 is my view. That means a starting salary of a class 4 employee, now they are called class 3 only. The starting salary is, basic pay is 18,000 fixed on January 1, 2016, can be refixed into 32,400 to 36,000. That is, if the fitment factor is 1.8, the minimum basic pay could be 32,400. That means it's not just double. People might feel it is 80% increase. No, it is not like that. Already the DA as of now is 58% and another 2% possibility is there from January 2026. So the DA will be 60%. Pay plus DA makes up 1.6 already. So if they make it as 1.8, it is 20% hike of the basic pay. That is, net increase in the pay alone is 3,600 per month for a beginners at the lowest level of government service. So that is how. So the pension also 50% of that will be something like 1,800 minimum hike can be expected at the lowest level of pension. This means government gives a very low increase of 20% hike from the basic pay fixed in 2016. Suppose they fix it the highest level 2 times. So that changes into 40% actually. 40% of the basic pay fixed in 2016. So in such a scenario, 18,000 basic pay will become 36,000. But the rise will be, as the lowest we said 3,600, rise could be 7,200, which will be very huge. If fitment factor is fixed at 2, the pay hike is 40% of the last pay. That will be huge. And only in 5th Central Pay Commission 40% fitment formula was given, in addition to all interim leave, etc. Of course, 6th Pay Commission, it was not 40%, but hike was more. Reason was, in between there were DA merger. So that has got additional DA. So all those effects into some 30+% has become more than 35%. So 6 and 7. 7th, of course, they called it as 14% in overall salary, but it was little less than 30%. So the way government functioned this time, they announced pay commission January 2025. January is, to be precise, January 16, 2025, just before the election of Delhi Assembly. But they took 9.5 months to finalize terms of reference. So in a modest level, I expect 20%. 30%, the last 2-3 pay commission we get 30+, that is also possible. But very huge rise will be 40% of your basic pay. But that will be really huge. There again it is something like wishful thinking only. Since they compare it with private and public sector, and they also compare the economic condition, they are all positive things. But negative things are that the impact on the state governments and fiscal prudence, and also what you call the pay hike should not affect the government strength to government capacity to do the developmental works. So this is something like striking a balance between 2 extreme ends. Let's hope for the best. So now, as I told you already, the 1.8 to 2 factor will make 20% to 40% hike of the basic pay. Because the DA of last 10 years will be absorbed into the new pay, and DA will be set as 0 from the new pay commission. So every 6 months they will again calculate and give DA. Okay. So average increase must be anywhere between 20 and 40%. Of course, allowances, HRA already they have made it from 24 to 30%. So maybe another 20 to 25% HRA is possible, or in the similar pattern they can do in the revised scale also. And pension revision, even though they have told that non-contributive pension, all those things, it is all up to 2003 only. Beyond that, under UPS they have to give 50%. So only NPS, there is no connection for pay commission related things, because it is based on the fund availability. So minimum we can expect same level of increase, not the one which was recommended by 7th pay commission. That is, if an employee has taken 10 increments in one particular post before retirement, so the pension also should be calculated from the minimum of that particular post, 10 times increment, something like that. That is not going to happen. It is only fitment they will give. Last time itself they were trying to narrow down. This time they will not accept that point, is my view. But of course 20 to 40% increase of the pension is also definitely expected one. Okay. Now minimum pay already I have told, that is Dr. Aykroyd Formula is going to work in favor of employees. DA will be 0 from 1/1/2026 and every 6 months as usual. Based on the price rise, government will grant new fresh DA. But remember, the commission's job is not just to hand out rises. They have to keep it fiscally sustainable, which is the code for don't make the economy faint. So there is moderation is expected. Of course, they will also give some recommendation on the administrative reform also. The bigger picture, what it means beyond salaries, the pay commission is not just the bigger pay checks. It reshapes the entire financial system around the government jobs, private sector benchmarking. Many public sector undertakings and even private firms indirectly align compensation trends with the Central Pay Commission framework. State governments. Most of the state governments follow the central pattern, often with the delays and slight changes. That means millions more employees could benefit from the pay commission outcome. Inflation ripple. This is what the people who are against pay commission will say. The higher salaries can increase demand, which can also push prices up, but economic activity will also push up, and that gives fillip to the economic recovery also, economic improvement. Morale and productivity. That is what is very important. A fair revision can improve morale, reduce attrition, and maybe, just maybe, make bureaucrats a little less grumpy. So what happens now? So here is the bottom line. The 8th Pay Commission is officially started its work. The terms of reference is approved, the team is ready, and the countdown to 2026 January 1 has just begun. There is a hope, there is speculation, and there is a usual roundabout wild assumption. Some people think it will double their pay, others like me believe it will definitely beat the inflation and make a decent hike. Okay, because my assumption is based on the history. If the history is any guide, every pay commission brings some relief, some controversy, and ton of debate. We will come up with more details as the pay commission starts its work in the coming days. Joke. When the pay commission comes, government employees celebrate, pensioners calculate, but the finance ministry quietly updates their blood pressure medication. Namaskar.